Honorable LINDIWE SISULU, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa and co-chairperson of the ministerial segment of the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. Honorable ministers here present, co-chairs of the senior officials, Your Excellency, Emen Mbete, Ambassador of the Republic of South Africa to Zimbabwe, and Your Excellency D. Hamazripi, Ambassador of Zimbabwe to the Republic of South Africa, senior officials here present, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, good afternoon. Let me once again welcome you, my dear sister and colleague, and your entire delegation to Zimbabwe on the occasion of the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. It is my sincere hope that you will find the working facilities we've put at your disposal satisfactory. Dear sister and co-chair, we meet here today to lay the groundwork for the very important meeting between our principals tomorrow, which marks the apex of our BNC. And I'm pleased that in the past 3 years since our inaugural BNC session in Pretoria, the cooperation between our sister republics has continued to evolve and grow to new heights. This is evidenced by our wide range of agenda issues which is before this binational commission. Our special relations that are tethered by a common heritage have been refined and perfected over centuries through blood and cultural ties and common struggles for dignity, equality, and even self-determination. The strong bonds these ties bestow on us and our commitment to the guiding ideals of our common political struggle continue to act as a moral compass for both our peoples whose fate is intricately intertwined. We share the trenches as we fought our common enemy, foreign dominance. Our partnership should therefore have in mind that a prosperous Zimbabwe makes for a prosperous South Africa, and vice versa. History has dictated that we should continue to share the trenches in our common struggle for economic emancipation and socio-economic progress till the attainment of a highly quality and qualitative life for the people of South Africa and those of Zimbabwe. Co-chair, as we continue to break new ground within the framework of our bilateral cooperation, I'm delighted to note that we have registered tangible progress delivered from our agreements and MOUs, which form particularly the building blocks of our binational commission. I hope our two sides have been making use of the joint implementation matrix which we developed to monitor the implementation of our agreements. Indeed, some plausible success has been registered in a number of areas, but we must not rest on our laurels, hoping that things are going to happen on their own. Delivering concrete results for the benefit of our people and countries from this relationship remains our paramount objective bestowed upon us by our leaders and by history. Thus, we carry on our shoulders an enormous responsibility to shape the trajectories of our two countries for generations to come through political and economic concert. The Binational Commission, which represents the pinnacle of bilateral cooperation, is the primary vehicle for that shared destiny. We therefore expect to receive from our officials today progress reports on implementation of our agreements as well as proposals for new areas of cooperation that will add impetus to this multidimensional relationship. And this is going to be experienced through the signing of a number of agreements which are going to be signed tomorrow before the principals. Co-chair, trade is a major driver for the growth of our two economies. For that reason, it has become a major focus of cooperation between our countries. In this regard, I wish to express my gratitude to the Republic of South Africa for the understanding they have shown as Zimbabwe continues on its path to economic revival. Our economic revival program prioritizes the revival of local industries. At times, this demands creating conditions that enables the industries to recover from ashes, as it were, and grow to a level where they are able to compete fairly against regional competitors. It is my sincere belief that the temporal measures taken by our trade experts will ultimately bring value not only to South Africa, but to the rest of our friends in the sub-region. A stronger Zimbabwe is one that is capacitated to effectively partner South Africa in shouldering the burden of leading the Southern African Development Community region towards prosperity. It is for this reason that the sister Republic of South Africa should find it in its interest to create an environment and conditions that stimulate a quick turnaround of Zimbabwe's economy. Furthermore, it goes without saying that in trade terms, a stronger Zimbabwe offers an expanded market for South Africa manufactured products. In this connection, I note with satisfaction that our trade experts are working to address trade issues of interest to South Africa through the Trade Thematic Committee of the Binational Commission. The aim of the experts should be to achieve common understanding on how we jointly promote our bilateral trade in the medium and long term. Co-chair, we cannot talk about trade without discussing infrastructure, particularly infrastructure development, since it is a prerequisite for the efficient movement of goods and services between any trading partners. Infrastructure development is a fundamental priority reflected in Zimbabwe's Transitional Stabilizational Program, which is the first economic blueprint of Zimbabwe's Second Republic. Under the economic blueprint, His Excellency President E.D. Mnangagwa seeks to modernize and upgrade the country's border posts, starting with Beitbridge border post, the entry point between our two countries. Refurbishment of this important border post is a key priority project for expanding the North-South corridor. You will therefore note Zimbabwe's interest in the construction of the long-delayed one-stop border post at Beitbridge and Mosina. Its operationalization will ensure elimination of bottlenecks whose delays are a cause of frustration to travelers and transporters. I trust that our respective officials working on this issue are making progress so that soon we can talk of practical timeframes for the setting up of a one-stop border post. Needless to say, the absence of a one-stop border post remains a stumbling block for greater trading prospects on the North-South corridor. Let me add that I'm also pleased that our negotiators met just last month in Harare to try and iron out the hurdles that are impeding the conclusion of the recapitalization project of the National Railways of Zimbabwe. And I am aware that the DIDG and East Transnet Board directors, accompanied by the South African ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency M.N. Mbete, recently visited Zimbabwe to testify to the fact that they were committed to seeing out the transaction. Their anxiety to receive official confirmation that the Zimbabwean side will give the required 6-month extension of the framework agreement has been received by the government of Zimbabwe, which shall finally pave the way for work on the project to progress smoothly. And I'm happy to hear that also the Minister of Transport is ready to confer in writing the commitment of the South African government to the fact that Transnet is committed, is authorized and mandated to undertake these projects. As I stated earlier on, His Excellency, the President E.D. Mnangagwa, has singled out infrastructure development as a priority. I therefore hope that the negotiators who met again during the BNC can accelerate the implementation of these deals that will further unlock economic opportunities linked to rail, transport sector, and many other sectors which include water, agriculture, and various other sectors. Co-chair, the business forum involving business communities from our two countries did not meet on the margins of this BNC session. And it is my conviction that the meetings on the margins of every BNC will send a message that our strong political relations translate into vibrant economic and business partnership between our two peoples. I therefore wish to take this opportunity to encourage our business communities in future to convene their fora before or on the sidelines of the future BNC sessions. In a related aspect, I'm inviting South African businesses to take advantage of the varied incentives provided for by special economic zones in Zimbabwe. These zones offer incentives that include, among others, duty-free importation of capital equipment and tax holidays. The special economic zones that we aimed to set up in Zimbabwe, 10 provinces, offer opportunities to create cross-border value chains through partnerships between Zimbabwe companies and South African investors in areas that include mining and engineering, beef, leather, textiles, and clothing. Co-chair, as I conclude, I would like to urge our officials to redouble efforts to conclude our agreements, as it appears a number are still outstanding from our previous binational commission sessions. As politicians, we are clear that the implementation of decisions by politicians must be implemented without any fear or circumvention. It is my hope that this session can set timeframes for their implementation and for their completion and operationalization before the next session of the Binational Commission. It would blemish our successes if we cannot show progress to our heads of state and the two peoples, year in and year out. I therefore urge you, my dear sister, and your delegation to join hands with me and my delegation as we push this development agenda before us to higher levels. Co-chair, with these few remarks, allow me to declare this ministerial segment of the third Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission officially open. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for those warm words of welcome and exhortation to us to redouble our efforts in implementing the decisions of our Binational Commission. It is indeed, again, my honor to call upon Honorable LINDIWE SISULU to come to the podium to deliver her remarks. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Program Director. My dear brother, Honorable Minister, Dr. Sibusiso MOYO, as I was listening to you speaking to us here, I began to realize we're spending too much time together because you are echoing every word I would have put across myself. Honorable Ministers of Zimbabwe who are here, and my colleagues from South Africa who have come to ensure that the work of the BNC continues. Your Excellencies, the Ambassador of Zimbabwe to South Africa and the Ambassador of South Africa to Zimbabwe. Senior officials from our respective governments who are here working very hard. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. Good morning to all of you. Honorable Minister MOYO and Co-Chair, thank you sincerely for your warm words of welcome. Please allow me to reciprocate and express our heartfelt appreciation for your warm hospitality extended to our delegation since our arrival. Your Excellency, the South Africans here in Zimbabwe do not only feel at home, but we are at home. As you may recall, that this country has been a home to many of our political stalwarts and continues to be a home to many of us. Honorable Ministers, from this backdrop, the people of South Africa consider Zimbabwe a great friend and a great neighbor. The historic bonds solidified during the liberation struggle continue today with more vigor and purpose, particularly in addressing the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment in our two countries. We meet here today in very trying times as our economies both are undergoing challenges. South Africa is therefore more determined to continue to expand efforts towards ensuring socio-economic development, joint prosperity, and mutual benefit to both our countries. And in this regard, South Africa would like to take this opportunity to build a solid foundation, a dependable cooperative partner with Zimbabwe that will take us forward. This, our third BNC, is likely to bear more fruit than at any other time, precisely because of the challenges that face us. It also bears testimony to our joint efforts and intentions to further deepen the ties between our two great countries. I'm encouraged to note that since the signing of the BNC agreement in 2015, we've been consistent in holding our meetings between our two countries, not as a matter of ticking the calendar, but more importantly, with purposeful intention of seeking tangible outcomes aimed at bringing forth real change. Having met with my counterparts, Minister, both yesterday we went to bed at 1:30, and my counterparts were not very happy with me, but we wanted to make sure that this BNC we hold today does bring about significant change. We have decided, therefore, that we will seek, with your permission, an adjustment to the way that we hold our BNC to ensure that the officials come sometime ahead of the BNC, that they report back to us, and we put the matters before Cabinet so that by the time we come here, we speak on behalf of the entirety of the South African government. I'm hoping that with that we will be able to rearrange our logistics. Fortunately, you will be coming to us, and therefore we will take the lead in this matter. Honorable Minister, it is essential that mutually beneficial economic ties and investment flows grow between our two countries, as these are the foundation for mutual benefit and regional integration. Our interactions and consultations within the framework of a BNC bring forth value and enhance the implementation of all the agreements that we have committed ourselves to and yet to sign. And the commensurate accountability that goes with all of these agreements. We have also agreed with my counterparts that we will have a method of accountability so that we're not just ticking off, we're actually making sure that we report on how far we are on those agreements that we have already signed in the past. I'm pleased to note that we have signed 45 agreements and memoranda of understanding in various fields that currently exist between our two countries. Furthermore, I'm pleased to learn that several agreements and MOUs between our departments are currently at various stages of completion and will soon be signed. And as I heard you were indicating that perhaps we might try signing them tomorrow. We will be working on that, Minister. Your word for now is our command. It is imperative that we continue to expand our cooperation for the good of our people. The growing number of MOUs and agreements since our last meeting clearly demonstrates decisiveness and commitment to our quest to see our relations expanding and deepening beyond the current status. It is a depiction of the seriousness and importance we attach to this cooperation between the two sister countries. Together, our decisiveness to move forward is not premised solely on the long list of MOUs and agreements, but more importantly, on the implementation thereof. That is why also we want to make sure that we have accountability for all of the agreements that we have so far signed. Our main goal and vision is to see real changes in our people's livelihoods. We want to see the youth educated, trained and developed to become responsible citizens of both our nations. We want to bring women to the fold. I listened very carefully, Minister, and you forgot that there is a very important aspect of our lives now. It is women, and we insist on being treated separately and a little more importantly than men at occasions like this. So in future, Minister, you will say we will start with the ladies in the room, and then you'll go to the gentlemen if they warrant recognition. We want to bring real change to our people, and we want full participation of our women in our economies. We want to create sustainable jobs and ensure that our people are independent, self-sufficient, enabled, and empowered to take charge of their future and their destiny. Honorable Minister, when that is achieved, only then can we feel confident of our future. But before then, we have to continue pressing forward towards the goal that the BNC that we've put together will take us to. Hence the importance of our regular meetings to take stock of how far we have moved and how far we still have to go. In order to achieve this, we must engage more effectively and continue to embark on cooperative projects in the fields of agriculture, mining, infrastructure development, defense and security, the economy and finance, trade and investment, as well as social and humanitarian affairs, matters that you emphasized in your speech earlier, so as to raise our bilateral relations to newer heights. Together, I strongly believe that our joint efforts will be rewarded by bringing forth economic transformation in our two countries, which will translate into better lives for all our peoples. Our cooperation has never been limited only to our bilateral relations. This is the third session of the BNC, and it takes place not long after we attended the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa in February 2019, where South Africa was elected as the first vice president and of the Bureau of the AU and also a chairperson for 2020. And I want to take all of you into confidence to say that we would not have achieved this without the outstanding help of my brother, Dr. MOYO. Thank you so much for your support. Did I hear a round of applause? Moving forward, South Africa is determined to continue working together with Zimbabwe to fast-track our regional cooperation and to take stock of the implementation of the SADC industrialization strategy at the upcoming SADC meeting in August 2019. We would like also to commend the Republic of Zimbabwe for its efforts in bringing forth peace and stability in the SADC region in its capacity as chair of SADC organ on politics and defense and cooperation. Our regional endeavors towards economic development and transformation would be futile in a region void of peace and stability. As such, beyond our scope of bilateral relations, we need to continue with the same ardent vision for regional integration and development, strive for peace and security and stability in our countries, the continent, and in the world. Together, we remain committed to the implementation of the development and the aspirations of the AU Agenda 2063 and the UN Agenda 2030 and the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. On our part, as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, we remain grateful to our partners such as Zimbabwe for your vote and advice on a regular basis as we encounter difficult situations in the Council and we need support from you. We will continue with the responsibility duly entrusted upon us to advocate for the interests of our region and the continent. Honorable Minister and ladies and gentlemen, we meet here today to assess our progress in the implementation of the bilaterals and to strengthen our relations. Our last meeting was in Pretoria in October 2017, and this morning we had the occasion of going through what we have achieved since then, and I am glad to report that we are very proud of what we have achieved, and I'm hoping that we will continue at that same level. Our senior officials met for 2 days in preparation for our meeting today. We trust that they've utilized this platform optimally to explore new areas of mutual opportunity. I would like to commend our two sides of the senior officials meeting between the 7th and 8th of March 2019 in preparation for this meeting, and I'm informed that the gathering resulted in fruitful deliberations. They slept on time, unlike ourselves, and we recommend them for the work that they have done, and we are looking forward to joint projects that unfold out of these deliberations and the potential to move our two countries forward. We're indeed looking forward to this comprehensive report, which will be presented to us this morning, and we want to see action plans and activities that are sustainable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound to enable us to monitor and assess progress. Today, Co-Chair, our officials await our guidance, approval, and endorsement of such planned projects. Honorable Minister, I want to take this opportunity on both our behalf to wish the people of Ethiopia and those that have been affected by the tragedy of the plane our sincerest condolences. We work together on a regular basis, Minister, and I'm very glad that I have you as a solid partner. It is by working together that we can bring forth the change that we want. I look forward to our fruitful deliberations today and the report, which we will be able to measure and hold our officials accountable for, to be reported further to our principals tomorrow. I thank you most sincerely.